Hello everyone, and welcome to Watch Your Story. I'm your host, G.W. Tolley, and today we have a very special guest, and her name is Angela. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for this opportunity to share my story of my life crisis that I've gone through, hoping and praying that it will help someone in wherever to understand that sometimes we go through things and we hold it in, and it's in a way to say that if we don't share it, how will we be of help to someone else if no one knows what's going on? So I want to first of all start by back, not even before things started happening with the pandemic, about 2016 in March. Natalie and I were on our way to enjoy spring break one weekend, just going to the beach.
And that's your daughter, right,
That's
Natalie?
my daughter.
Okay.
And everything was okay, happy-go-lucky and everything. I began to tell Natalie, I don't feel well. And she was like, Mommy, what's wrong? What's wrong? I said, I don't know. I just got such pain in my hip. And she was like, okay, we're turning around. We're not going. We're going to go to the emergency room. So I said, okay. I didn't know what was going on. So she took me to the emergency room, and we were there for hours. So as I began to go in the back, and I began to pray, because that's all I knew how to do. From being in church all my life, growing up in church with my grandmother, my grandparents, and just knowing that when you go on your knees and you start praying and you're looking for an answer from God, it might not come right then, but he will eventually intervene into whatever circumstances or whatever situation. So as me and Natalie was sitting in the room on the bed, Natalie said, Mommy, what's going on? I said, I don't know why. They running tests, they doing everything they possibly can, and then all of a sudden we seen somebody walk by our room with crutches. And Natalie said, Mommy, they bringing them in here. I was like, no, they're not. And she was like, no, Mommy, I'm serious. This is serious now. They're bringing the crutches in here to you. And I began to say, oh my God, what's going on? And so when the doctor came in, he was like, Angela, as of this day, I have to put you on crutches because something is going on. We see something in the X-rays, and we can't tell you because we're not at liberty to tell you because we don't know. I think they knew, but they couldn't tell me. So they showed me how to get on crutches, giving me it's just like opening up a box or furniture or something that you never had to do before. So I had to learn how to operate crutches, which I never did before. So when I got the crutches, Natalie was standing there. She's so supportive. She's like, Mommy, you got to put one under this arm and one under that arm. So I was like, okay. So he told me he was referring me that night to a specialist, an oncologist. And I was like, what is going on? So the next morning I got a phone call from a company here in Winter Park. And it was like, Angela, can you take time off tomorrow and come to our office? This is serious. And I was like, okay, I'm coming. So I went to the building next door. Never knew I've never read the name of the building. I just went to the address. And as I was inside, and it was like, we can't tell you what's going on because we still don't know. We need to send you downtown where there are more specialists and doctors. And I was like, okay. So I went to another little clinic downtown about a couple of days later. And they had already got the reports. And this doctor was a training doctor. I know what training doctors are, but they're in the profession to become doctors, but they were like training doctors. And he was like, have you read the report? I was like, no, they didn't share it with me. He said, do you know why you're on crutches? I was like, no, they didn't share it with me. So he was like, I have interns in the room. Can I excuse them? I said, yes, you can. And he was like, Angela, I have been diagnosed with myeloma bone cancer. And I was like, huh? He was like, I have to get you into surgery soon. You're in the first stage of myeloma bone cancer. And I was like, okay. And he said, did you just hear what I just said to you? I was like, yeah, sure. I heard you. And I've never got a hug from a doctor before. He was like, this is for real. And I was like, I'm okay. You know why I said it was okay? Because I knew the God that I served was going to get me through what I was just been told, that I have myeloma bone cancer. He gave me a hug and he asked me, was I going to be okay? I said, I'm going to be okay. I said, do you have a doctor in mind that's going to get me through this? He said, yes, I do. I'm sending you to ORMC. And at that point, when I was like, okay, can I leave now? He was like, you can leave. He said, but don't leave this place today thinking that you're going to go home and pray this thing away. I just laughed in my head. He said, don't think you're going to just take herbs and Google all your research of how you could beat this thing without medicine and surgery. This is serious. I said, okay. So when I got in my car and I was trying to figure out how I was going to share this news with my family, Natalie kept calling, Mommy, are you okay? I said, yes. I never told her. I told my husband. And when I told him, he began to cry. And I said, Ray, no, it's not the end of the world. Just wait, we got this. We got this. And he was like, Angie, he said, out of everything that we ever hoped for in life, I never thought the day that we was going to get this kind of news. I said, but I need you not to tell nobody. We got to hold this for a minute. And he said, what are you saying? I have to tell your mom. I have to tell your mom. I don't want something to happen to you. And your mom said, why didn't you tell me? I said, she wouldn't understand. So just wait, I'll tell you when the right time to tell my mom or to tell anybody. So we began to start going to all of the appointments and getting set up for the first surgery. And at this point, I had to make a decision. Do I tell the kids or I don't tell the kids? So I waited. And I called one aunt who was a prayer warrior. I was like, Auntie, I need your help. I've been diagnosed with myeloma bone cancer. And she was like, what you just say? She said, oh no. She said, we're going to pray this thing away. You called the right person. You told the right person. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, Auntie, you can't tell us so. You're on my prayer team now. I need you to be strong for me. I said, because when we have strong people in our family that loves to pray and can help me, because if I let it get in my mind, I would die sooner. Mm-hmm. But we need to pray and try to go do whatever they tell us to do so I can live longevity. So Auntie held it down for a little while. I say, don't crack now. Don't begin to crawl when people start asking you questions. I say, because I don't want to show fear. If I show no fear, we can beat this. Mm-hmm. So my doctor I had a team of doctors that was working with me. I went through getting ready for my first surgery. And I was prepared mentally. And before every surgery, didn't know I was going to go through a couple of more. This first surgery, we prayed in the hallway. They holding my hands walking down the hallway until they tell them at this stop right here, no family can go beyond these doors. Yeah. And I'm looking up at everybody at the top of my eyes and I'm saying, I'm going to be okay. Just go to the waiting room. I'm going to be okay. Trust me, I'm going to make it out. So my prayer warrior that I had with me, Miss Eva, she said, Angela, God got you. Yeah. I went in. I don't know how long the surgery took. I began to go into the waiting room, the recovery room, and boy, it was a long surgery. In the midst of that surgery, all I remember them telling me is where they had to give me a hip replacement. They had through the last couple of years before I had that surgery, I didn't know that my femur, the bone had gotten eaten away from the myeloma cancer. And that's why I was put on the crutches. I had no idea. I was in pain months leading up to that, but I just was thinking that maybe it was just arthritis. something I was going through. Made it through the surgery. Something wasn't right. In April, I had the surgery in March, April, I had to go back. I had to let the doctor redo the surgery. For some reason, the hardware that he put in my leg was not put in the right way. And it was hurting me so bad to where I was on so much pain medicine. And I said, I can't live off of this pain medicine. I need you to fix it. And as he began to say, okay, I got to bring you back in and we're going to fix it. And I was like, Lord, please let him figure out what he put in wrong that time so we won't have to go through this again. So after the second surgery, routine. Downtown, I'm stuck in there for another month, stuck in the hospital for another month, still relying on Natalie, come downtown after work. Mom, what you need me to do? Try to, she's trying to console me. I had family member after family member, but Natalie was like my right-hand man, my right-hand girl, she was there for me. So she was like, Mom, I'm so sorry you're going through this. So at that time, she knew, after continually going back and forth to the hospital having surgery, she knew something was going on. So I said, Natalie, I'll tell you and I have to tell Lenora, I have cancer. And she was like, oh my God. And I was like, no. I said, you have to be positive. No fear. She's like, okay, Mommy. I said, because we're a family of prayer warriors. So everybody on one page, everybody in the same, she wasn't living with me, but she would always come to my house before all this happened. And so I said, you have to stay prayerful. I said, but if you want to share it, you can share it because it has to be known, somebody has to know about it. So after that surgery, I'm trying to recuperate. I'm in my house. I had a 2-story house. I was still in the house. I had to literally live on the bottom floor for the first year and end up living on the bottom floor for the second year because I could not walk upstairs. I couldn't walk anymore. And so I was like, Lord, whatever you do, let your will be done in my life. If I never walk again, it's never going to stop me from trusting in you. I said, because I feel like you don't put no more on us than what we can bear. So if you get me through this, I promise you, I will tell your goodness no matter what happens. So as everybody was trying to teach me how to not eat again, but they was trying to teach me how to, because everything left, my appetite. I didn't lose my sight. I lost my hair. I lost everything. So as my husband kept saying, Angie, what's wrong? I said, I think I'm going into depression. He was like, okay, what do I do at this point? I said, it's nothing. It's just something I had to work through my system. And as I began to constantly every night read my Bible, and then I would listen to music, gospel music on YouTube, in my ears, in my headphones, and I'd be like, Lord, you got to get me through this. I don't want to be a burden to my family because I've been used to taking care of myself all my life and being independent. And I was like, all of a sudden, it stops here. And God said, no. I want to see what you're going to do to help your own self out of this situation. So as I'm downstairs in my makeshift living room, which they turned the living room into my bedroom, and so I didn't want to call Raymond and I didn't want to call Jeremy because he worked all night and Jeremy was in his last year of high school. And I said, what can I do to help myself? Instead of me calling them, telling them, bring me something to eat. Can you please bring me something to drink? Can you please do this? Can you please do that? God spoke to me and said, get in your wheelchair and roll yourself to the hallway of the kitchen. Take your time, get out of the wheelchair, and walk behind the wheelchair.
Wow.
Start walking behind the wheelchair. That's therapy. It'll get your mind off of what's going on. In the middle of the night, I'm up and I'm walking behind the wheelchair. I didn't overdo it, but I was doing it a little bit at a time. And then I would begin to go back and sit down and rest. By doing that, I was able to go to the refrigerator and start getting the stuff that I wanted to drink or eat. I could go to the dining room area, but I didn't go too far because had I would have failed, I would have re-injured the hip that they had just put in. But it didn't stop there. as I was continuing to go on through the therapies and trying to get over the fact of going through the second surgery, later on that year in November, I got a double whammy. My doctor called and said, Angela, I need you to come in. I was like, okay, I'm coming in, doctor. And I was like, what's going on now? He was like, well, that went well, but you're not quite at where we need you to be. And I was like, is it still there? They got the cancer, but I have to put you on chemo and radiation. And I was like, why? He's like, so we can continue to fight the bad cells in your body because they'll just rejuvenate and come and stay there. So I was like, I don't have the help. You have to send me somebody. Raymond can't do it all because I'll burn him out. When you burn out your help, you have nobody. Mm-hmm. So I had to go to chemo every day. I had 9 sessions of chemo, 9 sessions of radiation. And I was asking God to give me the strength to get through all of that. And going through the first 1 or 2 sessions, it's weakening. It's very weakening. But I did the first 2 sessions, and I began to go through the 3rd session. And I was like, Raymond, you can't take me to all of them because you'll never be at work. So we have to figure out a plan. How are we going to keep the bills paid if you're downtown with me? Because my finances had stopped. Once I started going through all of my chemo and radiation, I could no longer work. So I was like, God, please help me make a way for my family. Send a little rain, if not a lot, just send me some rain so I can help my husband not stress and not worry. So family members that heard, so it started getting around that I was sick. They were saying, no, we're there for her. This is our family member. We have to come up with an idea of how we can help Angela. I didn't ask nobody to raise any money. I didn't ask nobody to donate me any money. I didn't ask nobody to do me no GoFundMe. Everybody just started figuring out what they can do. I had a cousin that was in the service. She was like, hold up, stop everything. I'm in charge. This is what I'm gonna do. Angela, I got this. Your cousin in Tallahassee got that. A couple of cousins this way got the medicine. A couple of them got your light bill. A couple of them got your water bill. When I tell you for a whole entire 2 years, everything was paid for. Wow. For Raymond to take off from work and be home with me for 2 years to take care of me because I couldn't get a home health aid. And so I say, I appreciate everything, but God said, I'm not through with you yet. So now listening to my doctor, made it through all my 9 sessions of chemo and radiation, went back home to live a normal life, everything going swell, everything going smooth. I'm at the point where we're about to lose the house. And I was like, I need a roof over my head. I'm sick. I'm not, what am I going to do? So then I began to say, I have to always drop things down and write things down. So I began to write little tad bit notes, what I needed, what I was asking God for, what I was believing in God for. And I would write it down and put it in my prayer box. And I would write it down and put it in my prayer box. And I was like, Lord, you know the need. I said, I can't lose this house. I said, because if I lose the house, where are me and Raymond going to go? And Jeremy, he has to get through his last year of high school. So God was like, I began to read. My auntie used to always say, read Psalms 91. Take no thought for what you're going to have, what you're going to eat tomorrow, what you're in need for. Mm-hmm. And so I began reading that. So all of a sudden, the doorbell rings. We're looking at, like, should we answer the door? He was like, Angie, you're going to have to answer the door. There's somebody with papers out there. I was like, okay, can you answer the door? So he answered the door and they asked for both of us. And he was like, my wife can't come to the door right now, but I'll take the papers. So he signed for the papers. And so he was like, yeah, these are the papers for the house. And I was like, okay. I said, we got this. He said, what are we going to do? I said, well, we're not going to lose the house. We're going to sell the house. And he was like, oh my God. He said, do you have a plan? I said, we're going to find a place to live before anything happens. So he was like, You speak things out of your mouth like you just already know that it's already worked out. I said, it is worked out. I said, I just need you to trust me because I'm trusting in God. So he was like, okay, here we go again. I'm following Angela. So I began to say, Lord, I prayed underneath because he has faith, but my faith level is a little bit stronger than his. So I said, Lord, we just been served papers to get out of this house. I need you to intervene in this situation. So I began to get on the phone with a realtor from my old church. He was like, oh, Miss Angela, it's okay. Everything will work out. He began to come by. He said, I need to speak to Raymond though. He's the man of the house. I need to speak to Raymond. So we set up a meeting. We met with him. And he was like, are we on the same page? Are we selling, Ray? Ray said, we're going to go ahead and sell. He said, because Angela need a roof over her head when she come, back from therapy, when she go long distance or whatever. So as we began to work on the preparations of selling the house, I get another phone call. I was like, oh my God, when it rains, it pours. I got the news that I needed to get a stem cell transplant. Do you know how long it takes to get a stem cell transplant?
No.
It takes a while. And I was like, I don't know what else I'm going to do. After going through the 2 surgeries, I don't know what else I'm going to do. And so I began to just write down on my little notes again. I put it in a prayer box. I said, Ray, you're going to have to sell this house without me because they're sending me away now. I have to go further. I have to go to Gainesville and get some tests done so that I can see if I'm a candidate for the program. I need a stem cell transplant. He was like, what are you saying? I was like, no organs or anything. I just need a stem cell transplant because explained to me because I don't know all these medical terms. After being in the hospital for almost 6 months with the 2 surgeries, trying to wrap my head around why did I need a transplant? Because the surgeries was successful, but I needed to get the old cells out of my body that came from the cancer because they kept wanting to find other places to live in my body. And the stem cell transplant rejuvenates and give me healthy cells. Mm-hmm. So I went up. I had a coworker to take me up and drop me off. And I stayed up waiting for another cousin to come from Tallahassee to stay with me while I was there. She had just retired from her job at the right time. And she was ordered by my cousin in Virginia, that's her sister, I need you to go stay with Angela. Right now she needs family. And I'm sorry, but when you get there, whatever you guys need, I got you covered. And I was like, wow, you never know who you're gonna need. That's why I've always tried all my life to be good to people and be there for people, not just my family, even people that I don't even know. I've always tried to be good because this is where the blessing comes. I need everybody now. My neighbor, my next door neighbor, my pastor, a sister. I needed everybody. When they say it takes a village, it really does take a village. I needed everybody. So while I'm up there, she's calling me on I-10. I'm on my way. Where are you? I said, I just called an Uber back over to the hospital, but I have to do this test. So you go check in. I left a key at the front desk for you to go upstairs with your luggage. So I was like, Lord, this is a journey. So when I get over to the hospital, they was like, are you Angela? I'm like, yes, I'm Angela. They was like, you here by yourself? So I'm trying to be strong. Yeah, I'm here by myself, but I got family coming. So when I go upstairs and I do what they need me to do, and they got me hooked up and everything, and they was like, you're a candidate. You're a candidate for the stem cell treatment. So I was like, do I have to wait on somebody to donate? They was like, Angela, we're going to explain it to you all at one time. We're going to explain what we need you to do. So I was like, okay. So I had to stay up there for about a week. And then, so they could get all the paperwork together. And then my cousin was like, so do I stay with you? I said, no. We stayed at the hotel for a week. You're going to go back to Tallahassee. And then when they tell me it's time for me to come back, I said, please let me go back home for Mother's Day, because the kids want to come from far to see me before I have to go back up there and live. So she went back home to her family, everybody prepping and preparing to go back to Gainesville to live. So I was like, Ray, are you going to be okay? You going to be okay here? But the good news came while I was back home preparing to go back to Gainesville for the stem cell transplant. The house got sold. We prepped it enough to get the house sold before we could lose the house. But we had a place to go. We had to rent for a little bit at another place, and that was just temporary. We're still there. And he's like, oh my God. He said, I don't know how you can handle all of this. I said, by God's grace and his mercy, I'm going to try to be strong through it all. He said, so what do I do while you're there? I said, God got me covered. I said, my cousin is coming back. She's going to stay with me. I said, all I need you to do is transport me back up there and leave me. I said, but I'll keep in touch with you here. I just need you to just stay on top of Jeremy every day. Make sure he get up and go to school. Make sure he gets home. He said, well, I can make sure he gets to school, but I can't make sure he gets home because, honey, I'm working 2 jobs trying to hold the fort down. And I was like, I got it. I'm going to put him in Uber every day. He was like, you got that kind of money? I said, well, there's a will, there's a way. Just so happened, Jeremy would get in an Uber. And as I'm talking to the guy, I said, that's my son. Please get him home safe because we have nobody to pick him up. And he couldn't get a bus at the time. And Jeremy's Uber driver was a pastor.
Wow.
And he began to hear my story a little bit over the phone. He was like, God got you. He said, you're not going through nothing that my family members haven't gone through. He shared a little bit while he was driving Jeremy home. He said, my wife has gone through something similar, but not the same thing. He said, ma'am, I'll get him home safe. And I was like, wow, I wish I could keep him every day. But every single day that I was living in Gainesville at the hospital, Jeremy had to go home in an Uber ride until we figured another solution. But as I was preparing to go back up there to live, I was preparing for my stem cell transplant. And I was like, how can y'all tell me who's gonna donate? And it was like, Angela, nobody's gonna donate to you. You're a candidate of your own stem cells. I was like, what? I was like, are you serious? He was like, yeah. When you was coming up here the week before prior, we would put you on some heavy chemo and we put you on a machine like dialysis. We was pulling your own stem cells out of you at that time. So when it's time for you to get your transplant, we put them through a machine and we get them clean and everything, and we put them back in you. Wow. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, how awesome. How awesome. And it was like, and my cousin that came to stay with me, she was a nurse. She said, I've never heard nothing like that before, because technology is so great now. To the doctors and the scientists, they know these things, and they just like, when are we going to get a candidate that we not practice on, that we can do this surgery on, so that we can see if it's going to be successful. So as I did, they was prepping me to do the transplant. She was there with me. So I was getting prepped up. I thought I had to go in the emergency room or something like that. No, you just go into that, like a center like dialysis, and they hook you up and they sit there. You got all these wires and tubes everywhere, all over you, just waiting for the packet to come out the freezer. And I'm just saying, Lord, let your will be done. I'm praying. I'm always praying, Lord, let your will be done. Closing my eyes, Lord, let your will be done. And my cousin looking at me, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just praying, telling God, thank you. So she's like, girl, you good. If it was me, I would probably be cracking at the seams. I said, no. I said, I have to keep the faith, because I know this journey is not over. It's not done. So as I got that done, I was like, do I get to go home after this? They was like, no, Angela, you have to go to a different wing in the hospital. We have to keep you there for 2 more months. Wow. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm never going to go home and see my kids. And it was like, not yet. You could call them, you could FaceTime them, but you're never going to be able to go home yet to see your kids, because we have to make sure that it's working. So I got my room. I say, don't put me in the room with nobody. And it was a reason why I say that. I said, because I listen to my gospel music on YouTube all night long. And that is what keeps me going when I'm listening to the music. And it's music to my soul. And my cousin was like, they give you your own room? I said, I got my own room. Look like a little suite, right? My own bathroom, my own little area where I can set my toothbrush and toothpaste and you can't put makeup on, but I got all my little stuff over there. And it was like, you're good. I was like, Lord, I don't know who's paying for this, but I'm happy. You got me all set up. So I began, as me and her talk every day, she bought me a daily word. And I was like, you put the right person with me. So we're reading. I'm reading my daily word. She's in her sleep area. She's reading her daily word. And I was like, am I going to ever get out of here? Maybe not. So I said, Angela, don't start doubting what he could do. You done made it through 2 surgeries. Now we got to see if you're going to make it through this stem cell transplant. So as I'm going through the day, they say, and one doctor came in and said, have you left the room yet? I said, no. He was like, why not? I said, because I have to walk with a walker. And I don't want to be out there walking around the hallways. I can't leave the floor. I have to walk around my room, my floor. And I say, I don't want to be out there just be, you can't make friends here. So we need you to get up and walk because you're not totally healed yet from the surgery. So we need you to stay acclimated. It has nothing to do with your transplant. You're good right there, but we need you to get up and move around. So I said, I'll do it in my room. They was like, Angela, leave outside the room just a little bit and then just come back in. So my cousin looked at me and said, she's like, do what the doctor tell you. I said, okay. So I started walking out, going out of my room, and God led me to run into a guy that lives somewhere over on the other side of Jacksonville. He was like, hey, Miss Angela, how you doing today? I can't remember what his name is. I was like, hey, what's happening? He was like, you never come out of the room. What blew you out of the room today? I said, my doctor came in and he threatened me. I better get up and start walking. He was like, you had your stem cell treatment already? I was like, yeah, I did. He was like, how? He said, because I've been here for months. How did you have yours already? I said, come on. I said, we can go to the movie room. And I asked him, can I go to the movie room? So I told my cousin, let's go to the movie room. So as we began to go over to the movie room, he sat down and we began to talk. I was like, I was a candidate of my own stem cells. He was like, really? He said, I'm still sitting here and I'm waiting on a donor.
Wow.
I was like, guess what? One is coming. I don't know when, but one is coming. I said, you got to keep the faith. I said, you believe in God? He said, yes, I do. I said, you have to keep the faith. I said, all I know is that one is coming. He was like, wow. He said, nobody really talks to me around here. He said, you're the first person that I can hold a conversation with. He was like, how did you end up in here? I said, well, I had cancer in my hip. I said, so the cancer being in my hip, they did a surgery, gave me a hip replacement, but it was not enough to get the bad cells out of my body. So I needed to come and get the stem cell treatment to push that away. So he was like, oh, wow. He said, you learn something new every day. And the conversation stopped right there. He was like, okay, I'm going back to my room now. And I was like, okay. I said, I'll see you around. I said, but always remember, keep the faith. He was like, I will. So my cousin was like, that was amazing how you just picked up a conversation and started talking with him. She said, because you gave him faith. You gave him faith to live. No matter what the circumstances looked like, you told him that he was going to make it out of what he was going through. And she was like, boy, she's like, I really commend you. You're a trooper at this. So as we going back to the room, the the dinner come, because it was late in the evening. And I was like, I really don't like the food here. I was like, I wonder if we can order food in. She was like, what do you want? I was like, go downstairs and don't order from the food bar. I said, go over to the next wing and get the food that they have over there in their cafeteria. And she was like, that's a lot of walking. So I was like, I was like, I don't care. I said, go get some food and bring it back to us so we both can eat. So she would do it. She went and got whatever she could get, and she brought it back. And I was okay to eat it. I just couldn't leave the wing. And we sitting there, we just talking, and we looking at each other like, how long are we really going to be here? She said, it doesn't matter. She said, I'm going to stay as long as I have to until the doctor says, okay for you to go home. Then that's when we'll depart. What I do, to make a long story short, I began to just tell God, thank you. Then my next move was to look out the window every day into the sky. I'm looking out into the sky, and I'm just talking to God. And I said, Lord, if you can help me get out of here, I promise you, I will be telling people, my kids, my family, the goodness of your works. I just want to be home with family. That's all I want. When you're going through a crisis like that, it draws you nearer to God. It draws you closer to God. Not that I have not known him before, but I began to understand his works and how he moves and how he allows things to happen for you. And after going through, it was routine every day. And they coming in telling me, okay, you're getting better, but you have to be here for 31 days. We probably can let you go after the 35th day. We want to come in and do some blood work and see, send you for blood work and see where you are with your white blood cells. So as my counts begin to come up, and then I began to, I need to pray for my counts. Ding, 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 bell went off in my head. Pray for your counts. So I began to pray for my counts, and my counts was coming up. Every day my counts was coming up. And as my counts got up to 35, and I asked my doctor, I was like, can I go home today? He's like, not yet, but I'm gonna let you know when you can go home. So he probably came in the room a couple of more days, and he was like, Angela, I think I could let you go home, and then you can just recuperate at home from the stem cell treatment. And I was like, good. So I'm getting on the horn, and I'm calling my husband. Hey, you come get me. I can go home. He was like, Angela, are you sure? He said, it's a storm coming. I said, come anyway. Just come on. You can get me down in the car safely. Just come, no matter storm or not. I said, what we'll do, we'll just stay in the Gainesville area one night, and we'll ride out the storm. I hadn't seen him in a while. So I was just so happy just that he was coming. So I said, take your time so you can get here in one piece. So the doctor said, we're just working on your discharge papers. So as they was working on my discharge papers, I was steadily telling God, thank you. I'm packing my stuff, packing my suitcase. And I was telling my cousin, you can go now, they're going to let me go. She said, are you sure? Before I leave, Raymond is on his way to come get you. I said, he's on his way to come and get me. So she was like, okay, girl, I'm going to get on the road. I'm going to get on back home to Tallahassee. So my discharge came. They probably let me go around about 5 o'clock that afternoon, wheeling me downstairs, Raymond wheeling me in a wheelchair because I still could not fully walk yet at that time. He put me in the wheelchair, put me in the car, put all my bags in the car, and I had some balloons too, everybody wishing me well. So my first stop was, he's like, where you want to go first before we go check in? I said, take me to get something to eat because I've been eating this horrible food for the longest. So I can't even remember the restaurant we went to eat at. So he took me out to eat. And as we sat at the table and we holding hands, and I said, let's pray. I said, because Raymond, I don't know where I was going to end up at this moment, but I know where I'm heading to. I said, I really thought I was going to leave here. He was like, but you're here. I said, I'm not the same anymore, though. I said, I'm losing hair on my head. I said, because I've had so much extensive chemo and radiation. He said, it's okay. He said, I didn't marry you for your hair. I married you for you. And I began to laugh, and I was like, but I'm going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. He said, it doesn't matter. He said, but go through therapy. You don't know what God got in store for you. So I said, well, enough of that. I said, what you been up to? Because I haven't seen you in a while. So we talking and we just laughing. I said, I'm so used to laughing. So he was like, I tell you what. He said, this is what we're going to work on. We're going to work on moving forward in life, not looking behind us. We're going to work on moving forward. And that's where we're going to end up with our journey, moving forward. and not letting this sickness take you over or take you under. But I want to say this so I can kind of like, in a nutshell, no matter what somebody put on you or whatever a doctor say to you, it's not a life crisis. You learn to live with it. You learn to live through it. You learn to fight it with every ounce of energy you got in your body. Because even to this day, I made it through the stem cell treatment, but I still take a daily dose of chemo because I have a kind of cancer that is not curable. But in life, I know later on, somewhere God is going to say, no more chemo. I'm going to cure you from this disease. But it don't stop me from being who I am and doing the things that I do for people, for my family. My journey is to be a help to whomever God puts in my path. If it's for my children, then be it. If it's for a perfect stranger, then be it. Because my daily prayer is, Lord, I need you. I trust in you. Whatever your will is for my life, let your will be done in my life. Not by fashion, not by might, but let your will be done in my life. And I live by that because that's what keeps me going, because I know one day I will be able to stand up and say, hey, I'm not in a wheelchair. I don't ride in a wheelchair anymore, and I don't walk on crutches, but I just use one when I have to go long distance. I walk with a limp, but I'm okay with it, you know, long as I'm walking through the whole journey. That's all I kept saying. If you allow me to walk again, I will serve you for the rest of my life. And that's where I know that God has put every step for purpose. You got this done. You jumped over this hurdle. You jumped over that hurdle. As long as you keep doing the things that I asked you to do and showing you the ways to achieve these different steps, you're going to make it. You're going to make it.
Amen. And that's a beautiful testimony because you walked in here.
Yes, I did.
And you didn't have a walker, you didn't have a cane or a wheelchair. And God is an awesome God.
He's awesome.
And our words are very powerful.
Yes.
Well, everyone, that's a wrap for today. I hope you've enjoyed this testimony of just amazing health and healing and what God has done. So we'll catch you on the next Watch Your Story.